Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Yeah, welcome back everyone to a new episode from the Skating Penguin Network. A bit of a mixed bag of discussion topics today. We've got some recaps. We have some mailbag. We have some milestones. It is once again Robbie here with Snail across the country in Seattle. And before we jump in, Snail, how was your weekend as we head in here now to the holiday?
Weekend was all right. It's it's kind of that weird like week before the holidays where I don't know, not a lot going on, stuff to prepare for, some anticipation. Not a whole lot's going on out here. How are things out in Western Pennsylvania as Thanksgiving inches ever closer?
Overall, things are pretty good. We had a big front come through at the end of last week. We got a couple inches of snow.
Oh, nice.
Mostly gone now because it got a little warmer, and then some rain came in too. So it didn't last very long, but we did get a snowstorm on Friday into Saturday. We kind of got that first dose of winter. But this after Thanksgiving here, this next coming weekend, it's supposed to really get cold down into the 20s for highs. So we're going to get another dash of winter here after Thanksgiving. So, it's been good here mostly, though.
Nice.
So,
well, will it get any colder than the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I don't know if it can get any colder than the Pittsburgh Penguins, to be honest. Before we jump into the recaps, though, let's start off on a good note. I didn't get to see it live, but on Saturday night against Utah, Sidney Crosby, after a lengthy wait, it seemed like, got goal number 600. He becomes the 21st player in NHL history to score 600 career goals. He is the second Penguin to ever score 600 goals in a Penguins uniform. It is a gaudy number when you really think about it and put it in perspective of the thousands and thousands of players that have played in the NHL. Just 21 have reached this number. And if you look at what lies ahead, he could very easily be top 16, 15 by the end of this season. But amidst all the bad of the Penguins, one of the shining lights has still been Sidney Crosby, and 600. You kind of saw it on his face when he scored it, the arena, but the arena exploded. His teammates poured out of the bench. Amidst all the struggles for the Penguins, Crosby remains Sidney Crosby, and it just kind of for a moment took you out of the sadness and depression of this Penguin season to celebrate that milestone.
Yeah, so I was actually at dinner with some family when the game was going on, so I actually didn't get to watch it live either, but I'm that annoying family member when I'm out. I'm glued to my phone. I'm not like sitting with my phone out playing the game, but I'm checking the score pretty frequently. And when I actually opened my phone and saw that the Penguins had scored and it was Sidney Crosby, and then I check Instagram And the hockey pages on Instagram were all reposting. He finally got 600. So
Yeah.
God, that was the score. I am almost glad I didn't watch the game. I kind of wish I did just to see 600. I feel like I've seen so many, like you, Robbie. We've watched so many games. You watch so many milestones in live action as they're happening, and I kind of wish that I could say I saw that, but unfortunately, not the case. But yeah, Sidney Crosby is the only thing. Him and Malkin, I'd say, they're the ones keeping any like glimmer of hope in Penguins fans' eyes right now. And 600, like you said, kind of hard. I mean, Gino just got 500. I mean, and Sid's a whole 100 goals.
Yeah,
that's a good seasons of goals ahead of a guy like Gino. Like you'd said, only the Mario Lemieux has more goals in a Penguin sweater. To play for his whole career in Pittsburgh. It's awesome. It really speaks to Sidney Crosby, and a kid at Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia, who just had so many expectations placed upon him, and here he is in the twilight of his career. He'd probably hate that I call it that. In his late 30s, producing like this and celebrating these milestones still, it's incredible to witness and be a part of. And I just don't know where the Penguins would be without a guy like him,
Yeah, and a remarkable number. And just to put that in perspective, then you mentioned 100 more ish than Malkin, but then Alex Ovechkin has 868, which is that is an astonishing. That's an astonishing number in itself. That is more than a career for most hockey players. That difference between Ovechkin and Crosby,
200 goals is
268 goals. That's
a lot of goals too.
Yeah,
it's not easy to score goals in the NHL. How many good players came into the league with expectations and they never became even a fraction of just the difference we talked about between those two guys. It's really incredible. So, stick taps to Sid.
Tony Gale.
He's not done. He's not done.
No, he has the rest of this season and at least 2 more seasons after that. So, it'll be interesting to see if he can get to that 700 mark. He would be the first Penguin in history to get there. Mario at 690. So we'll see if.
Do you think Sid passes Mario?
I think if he's within the vicinity because again, he didn't say he's retiring after that contract. So I could see him playing until 700 if that is something that he wants to push for. Because at that point, he'd own about every major record in Penguins history. You'd have to think at the very least. It'd be interesting to see if he would push for that. Because let's say even if he scores another 25 this year, and then they say 30-30, he'd be right on the doorstep. I think he's going to get to 700, barring any major setback. So he'd be the first Penguin to score, assuming he does it in Pittsburgh, the first Penguin to score 700 goals, which would be, it's an unbelievable amount of goals. Tony Gale, he mentioned on the tweet, on the Mailbag tweet, he asked if we're the only team to have 2 that scored 600. We're actually the second team to score 600. Detroit had Gordie Howe and Stevie Y. Both had 600. So some pretty good company for Sidney Crosby to join on this list.
Yeah, and that, just from what we know of Sid, he's a very personal person. He keeps his personal life and opinions really close to his inner circle. We don't know much, but we do know that some of his idols are Gordie Howe and Steve Yzerman. He's been on record saying those are kind of, I'm sure he loves Wayne and Mario, and he probably has he probably loves Gino as a player, but 2 of his idols that he's talked about is Gordie and Stevie Y, and to be joined in that company is probably just, you got to think, despite the Penguins' follies, which I know probably keep him up at night, maybe that pillow's a little comfier knowing he's up there in that sort of company. As far as accomplishments with his organization, he's mentioned that it's important to him to stick with one team because of Stevie Y and Mario. So I don't know, cool stuff. And that it's gotta. something he can probably sit back on, and kind of, no matter how bumpy this season is, he goes out there and tries hard every shift. He's the captain for a reason. He's just got that in his DNA, and that he probably sleeps a little better at night.
Yeah. So yeah, congrats to Sid. Great achievement, and amongst everything else that's gone wrong this season, something's positive to still discuss. So
just a nasty assist too by Carlson.
Oh yeah, I mean
it's
really too bad that we only get glimpses of that Carlson this year. Just 5-on-3. I mean, yeah, that talent is still there, and Utah had no chance. The goalie was all over the place. The defense was in shambles, and yeah, Crosby wasn't going to miss from there once Carlson dished it to him. But just beautiful feed, beautiful goal. So
very vintage Carlson, coming right down Broadway with the little head fake, like he's gonna snipe it, and then just a slick pass. And we talk about like Gretzky's office, Ovi's office. Does Sid have the most obscure office in the NHL? Like
he's like there,
line?
Yeah.
If they put like 99 behind the net and 8 in Ovi's office, that dot on the left wing, Sid's would be like in that awkward like goal line, like right behind the goal line, kind of on that right side.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we get to the recaps, this was a late add to the outline. The Penguins make a trade this afternoon with the Nashville Predators. Steven Stamkos coming to. No, I'm kidding. The Penguins send a 2027, so a ways away, 4th-round draft pick to the Nashville Predators for former first-round pick, actually taking just a few picks after Sam Poulin in 2019. For Philip Tomasino, a young guy, again, same age as Samuel Poulin.
He's like 23 or something.
Yeah, in that ballpark. A guy who has played a healthy amount in the NHL and actually put together some decent numbers, but is if you look at where he is now, it screams change of scenery type guy. This is now the second former first-round pick the Penguins have gotten from Nashville this year. They got Cody Glass in the offseason. But Philip Tomasino, if you look at his underlying numbers, very good. He can play pretty much any forward position. Primarily, he is a winger, but he can play either wing. A good skill set, but he comes to Pittsburgh
too, which I like.
Yeah, it's a right shot. And from what I was listening online and reading, it sounds like he's a guy they're going to try in the top 6 just because of his creativity and skill. So, yeah, he is on his way to Pittsburgh. The hope is he can practice on Tuesday, hopefully play on Wednesday against Vancouver. But, yeah, Philip Tomasino coming to Pittsburgh for it's just, again, basically a lottery ticket in that 4th-round pick. But a trade that sometimes again, I don't think it's going to change anything this season, but a guy that could be a part of the next chapter of Penguins history if he can kind of reclaim himself and be that the player that he was when he broke into the league, because he has had success in the NHL. It just kind of never became consistent.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been in Nashville. I think he was a 2019. If he was Sam Poulin's draft, was that 2019?
Yeah.
Dude, Nashville has been all over the place since then. They've been good falling off. They've been bad. They've been like underdogs. And look at them this season. I mean, all the ads and stuff, and they can't string wins together whatsoever. They might be in a bit of trouble. So, not that the Penguins Penguins have been kind of a little bit more consistent in their steady decline since 2019, but you get a guy like that in, a young guy in, with some creativity, some, just that youth that we're always talking about, former first rounder. Look at this as like, had the Penguins had an extra first rounder back then, maybe he'd be, slotted in. They're going to try to find where he fits in this roster, and you never know. It's a lottery ticket in itself in this guy, but he has scored some goals. He has put up some points in his small sample sizes. Never given minute wise a huge opportunity. And then obviously with the acquisitions, like I just mentioned, of Marcia, so Stamkos, and he's a right shot as well. And they already had Forsberg there, and there's just not a whole lot of room. So, yeah, take a flyer on the guy. Obviously, didn't cost you a whole lot. Basically nothing. We're gonna forget about that draft pick. It's a couple years away. So.
Oh yeah.
Don't mind it. It actually, when I saw this come down, it kind of made me wonder. You had mentioned actually just a second ago that this is the second first round pick, young player that we'd acquired, and it makes me wonder about that Cody Glass, because Cody Glass, he had a concussion a while ago. He's had concussion problems, and they're getting another right shot kind of guy that kind of fits a similar mold. I don't think he's as big as Cody Glass, maybe right around there, like around 6 foot. It makes me wonder if Cody Glass is going to be out a little bit longer than. Well, they never gave a timeline. I think Michelle Crecchiolo announced that he had a concussion like a week ago or something, and yeah, it's got me wondering about him if he's out maybe long term, and we're not going to see him in the lineup for a while.
Certainly seems that way. I don't see him skating. Blake Lizotte was back on the ice today, so that is one concussion that's on his way back. But yeah, it makes you wonder what Cody Glass's status is going forward. You never know with concussions; they're always kind of to be determined. Yeah. So, but yeah, again, it's a lottery ticket. You're giving up a lottery ticket for a guy who at least has had NHL experience. Has some first round pedigree still. You just kind of hope that he can maybe refine it and make it work in Pittsburgh. He's 6 foot. He's not a huge player. He's 179 weight. Yeah, he's about 23 and a half-ish. His birthday is in July, so yeah, he's still young.
Not a bust.
Yeah, but I mean, his first year in the league, he played 76 games. 32 points. Last year he played 41 games, had 20 points, but this year has just not come together. Plenty of AHL experience as well, so it's not like he's just sitting on the bench. He's definitely getting reps, and yeah, I think overall, it's a good find. And hey, it can't get worse. It can't get worse.
No, it couldn't. It really can't get any worse for the Penguins at this point. And yeah, I don't know, a little excitement. I always get a little jolt of excitement when I see a trade's happened. Yeah, I guess it'll take some time to see what this unfolds. Yeah. You hope for it's a buy low situation and you get some production out of the kids. So I guess we'll see what happens. But if you don't have any more thoughts on the Tomasino acquisition and all that, we actually got a mailbag to get to here, and Tony Gale's first question, Robbie, is actually in regards to this Philip Tomasino. Did it say whether he was American or Canadian?
Let me look here real quick. I just had his thing up. He is from Ontario.
Okay, Toronto kid. Tony Gale asks here, signing news is that Philip Tomasino has signed from the Predators. Other than that, he was a first-round pick. Don't know much more about him. He just wonders essentially what we're wondering. Do you think that this gives the Penguins lineup a little jolt of life?
I mean, they could use anything. Yeah. So let's certainly hope that it gives them something, at least through this week. But yeah, you never know what fresh blood can do to a lineup, especially a guy that has maybe is more on the creative side, has good handles and can dish the puck and can finish as well. So I mean, I certainly hope he does something because, I mean, they just need a pulse right now.
They do. The one thing I'll add on to that is I don't know if it gives them too much of a jolt because they didn't trade any bodies out. And I always feel like a roster might get the biggest jolt when they look over to a stall next to them and someone's no longer there. Maybe someone who was underperforming. Yeah. Kind of makes your seat a little hot. I don't know. I think that if anything, I mean, maybe we can get to it afterwards, but you talk about a jolt with Boston losing their head coach.
Yeah,
that might they won that next game. That's a jolt. So anything though, like you said, to spark this team better than what's going on now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not to change the subject too much, our genius idea of the Penguins dumping Sullivan for Jim Montgomery was quickly quashed when St. Louis fired their head coach and picked up Jim Montgomery. And credit Doug Armstrong, he straight up came out and said that they fired their head coach because Jim Montgomery became available.
Yep.
There was no beating around the bush. So credit to Doug Armstrong for just straight up saying the truth. I mean, a lot of times GMs will try to, hem-haw around it, try to make excuses, use coded language. Jim Montgomery had none of that. He just straight up said, Doug Armstrong had none of that, just straight up said, yeah, a guy became available, we had to make a decision, and we did. So, yeah, credit to St. Louis for taking that leap.
For real, credit them for just doing this is sports. It's winning. They're not winning, and they made a change for the better.
Yep. All right, now the fun part. The Penguins, they played 2 games on Friday and Saturday. The Winnipeg Jets were in town, and then followed by the Utah Hockey Club. The Penguins lost both games by a combined score of 10-2, 4-1 to the Jets on Friday, 6-1 to Utah on Saturday. It's bad. They're just bad. I mean, There's not really any other way to put it. They're a bad hockey team. That is, they are.
Well,
I think the 3rd worst team points wise in the NHL right now.
Are they? Oh no, God! When you put it like that, they lost by a combined score of 10-2. That's like,
yeah.
I mean, this is like tanking for whoever is the. This is like that kind of team right now.
Oh, sorry. They are 27th in the league, but only 2 points better than Chicago, who is in last.
I don't know. Is this just? It's Thanksgiving's coming up. Does Dubas have the stones to pull something off to get a new voice in there, or is? How do you go look at Sid, who just got 600 goals, Malkin, who just got 500 goals, Sullivan, who's got 2 cups to his name, is a proud coach, Carlson, who didn't come here to be on another stinking team. How do you go look at those guys and say, you know what, we're throwing this year away. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, so buckle up, boys. Like, maybe we'll find a contender for you to go to if we can, or if we find a trade we like. But I don't know. I just think that something's got to. This can't be that they. I feel like a little kid. They told me that they were going to try to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. They're a bad hockey team. They don't look like they're going anywhere. This week is another hell week with Vancouver, Boston, and Calgary. It could get bad quick. They are closer to the bottom of the NHL than they are to even a second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. I don't at this point. I don't know. They're bad. The effort, and it's not just losing. And listen, if they go out there and lose and they give 100%, that happens. Sometimes teams are better. It's the look of I don't care that should be more concerning than anything. The abject just look of disinterest. And that signals more this is a coaching issue. They've shut out the coach than anything else. And you can't have that.
They're sick of getting their heads caved in, and they're trying to play the same system. The same system doesn't work. When the same system doesn't work and you're being told to go out there and do the same job that gets your head punched in every night, why would you be disappointed anymore? It's no longer feels like it's probably on you. You're like, I'm doing what I'm being told to do. It doesn't work, and we're losing. So it's 2-0 in the first 5 minutes of another game, and we got to find the gusto to dig ourselves out of this. And power play isn't working. Penalty kill is not even working anymore. It's just, I don't blame them. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's the same voice with the same old spiel. It's not working. It's just, good for Sid, good for Gino. Get Carlson as many cookies as he can to keep him happy. Like, that's no way to go out every night and play.
No, you can't. Again, and it's only November. I mean, we have another 60 or 59 games of this. It's not sustainable. And yeah, it's just bad. Like this entire week, you give up that lead to Tampa, which is just, that is just how the Penguins play. That was not surprising. But then to just no-show in back-to-back home games, it just, I don't know. It's just bad, a bad look. And you got guys that just look disinterested, and maybe that's what a guy like Tomasino comes in looking to prove himself, add some jolt to this team. But it just a lot of looking around, bad skating, bad decision making, and it just screams of the coach. The message is falling on deaf ears, and that's why we kind of advocated for the Montgomery Sullivan swap. Just you don't like to see, like, Mike Sullivan has been great for the Penguins. Obviously, 2 cups, the all-time leader in wins in franchise history. But there's a shelf life for everyone, and I think it's clear that he is expired, and it's just time to move on. But it feels like that at this point, if it wasn't going to be when Montgomery was out there, it's not going to come until the offseason at the earliest.
I don't know. You never know what they're working on behind the scenes. I have, for some reason, I still hold on to some hope that, Dubas, I wonder what goes on in Dubas's head a lot, because we know he came from Toronto. He didn't like that he didn't have the autonomy to mess with the core 4, so he got a 7-year contract for the Penguins. Ironically, coming into a situation where he's not really allowed to touch the core 3, let's just say. He actually added a 4th player to make it a core 4 that he's really not allowed to touch at this point, despite rumors being out there that everyone not named Sid are available. I know he came here to kind of start his own venture, kind of build. He comes to a team that's in its twilight. He wants to kind of help usher them into a new one and create a contender. I just wonder, what do you do in a situation like this? You've come out publicly and said you want to keep Sid happy. As long as he is playing and under contract, it's on him and the organization to remain competitive. And you're not competitive anymore. They're very high on Sullivan. They want to keep Sullivan for the next chapter of Penguins hockey. You can't have it all. I just wonder I still hold out hope that maybe there's some big swing from Dubas coming. I don't really care what it is at this point, but I think that a big jolt needs to happen. And I'm not saying trade someone just for the sake of a trade. Find something out there that works for you. And right now, Robbie, we've exhausted, and it's early in the season, is just Sullivan's not going to help you win any more games. He's not. That whole coaching staff, it's a dead battery. You can jolt it as much as you want. You can doctor it up as best you can, but it's a dead battery in a car that's going nowhere, and you need a new one.
Yeah, there's not really any other way to put it than that. It just, you're stuck, and it's not going anywhere, and it's frustrating. And we're gonna keep doing it because that's why we're here. And as long as people are listening, we're still going to talk about the Penguins. It's gonna be a long season, though. I will say that it's going to be a long season. But at this point, anything positive is going to be fun and give us something to talk about. It's just, a trade like today, it gave us something at least fun to look at. The Crosby milestone was something fun. Sid fighting. I just hope at some point we can start talking about winning hockey rather than having the same exact game to talk about night in and night out. So.
Well, Robbie, I feel like even if they just came out and it was a dignified tank and they said, this is it, we're going towards the future at this point, I can buy into that if that's the message.
Yeah, true, fair.
If the Penguins are going to suck, I'm not going anywhere. As a fan, I want to see the new era of Penguins. I want to document and cover and watch in front of me unfold the building blocks, the things that happen that become the building blocks for the next wave. I'm there for it, but that is not what the message has been so far. The message has actually been quite the opposite. So as a fan, as someone who covers the team, we're just left in this space where it's like, it just makes you frustrated. You're like, well, what is the point of all of this losing if it's, you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. And again, like if it was just a full on, we're tanking it, we're going to be bad for the next 2 years, here's what the plan is, then yeah, I can accept that. Don't sell me on we're trying to compete for a championship and then put this product out.
Or not even a championship, right? Like a playoff spot.
Yeah, you're trying to compete at all.
Trying to compete, be competitive in the early spring is what I've heard too. And I mean, you're gonna have a bunch of sorry Charlies by the time it even gets past Christmas if this is the case. And
yeah,
I would never say I envy a tanking team, but we're so spoiled with the success that the Penguins have had, and I really try to make that known, and I don't want to sound like a spoiled sports fan. But sometimes I watch these teams that are tanking, and I've looked into the crystal ball and looked into the future and tried to see, well, what will the Penguins? Some of these teams that are tanking, it's fun when they put it together and they show a flash and they beat a good team. Like that would be exciting if you knew you were in a dignified tank. Some of these tanking teams, they also go out and get fun players that you don't normally go. Like they go out and get a couple tough guys because it's gonna be a long season. You got young players, then you need someone to stick up for them and have that morale in the room. And I'm a broken record at this point. I think the Penguins have needed that even since they were considered contenders, and yet alone if they're going into a dignified tank or whatever crap you call this. At least you go and you get some fun players just to kind of keep the crowd and to keep the fans a little bit entertained amidst these hard times. And the Penguins don't even have that right now. Fortunately, I'll never take Sidney Crosby for granted because he is still worth the price of admission. But
yeah,
I hope you understand where I'm coming from, where it's not even to the point where they go out and you have some young guy and when he shows a flash and a little improvement, you get hopeful, or you have you go out and you get like Chicago, they get a Foligno, they get a Maroon, they get a Tyler Bertuzzi. Like those are players up my alley that I like watching play every night. The Penguins don't even have any of those guys yet. So, I'll get off my soapbox, but it's not even that. And I'd like a little direction from the guys upstairs, from Dubas and FSG.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Blinds.com's Black Friday sales event is happening now with our best deals of the season. Let our design experts help you make the perfect selection for your home on your schedule. We can send free samples right to you and handle everything from measure to install. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus doorbusters, and a free professional measure at the Blinds.com Black Friday sales event now. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, some kind of press conference or a signal of what's going on, because, I mean, you're selling a competitive product, and it's the furthest thing from that. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Just pull off the blinders. Tell us what you're really doing, and let's go from there. That's the best way forward. That's how you build trust with the fan base, and that's how you make people realize, okay, this is how it's going to be for a year or two. Then we'll get back to trying to compete for championships. But if you're trying to sell me on this team being competitive, even in the early spring, you're lying to me. I'm sorry.
The outright line.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this mailbag here. We have 4 questions from Tony on top of the other 2 he asked. Same as always, I'll take the first, second Snail, so on and so forth. We have some hockey. We have some holiday talk. But, yeah, so thanks to Tony for joining in. Snail, lead us off.
We'll lead it off here with another question from Tony, and he says that he saw a post from Dan. God, I feel like Robbie on this one. I've never known how to say this guy's name.
I think it's Kingursky.
Kingursky. Dan Kingursky.
Ponomarev.
Yeah, I could say that one, but not this. Dan Kingursky, who took a few photos during the anthem at PPG, and the rink was half empty. Was this a one-off, or is this kind of the new norm now, Robbie?
So on Friday, I will say, I don't know how much snow Pittsburgh got, but I don't think the weather is super fantastic. But there's been times where a team like the Jets that only comes to Pittsburgh once a year, especially a good Jets team, would have that building 90% capacity. And the picture, I did see the picture floating around, and it was much less than that, like maybe 50% capacity. And if this trend continues, that's how it's probably going to be, at least at the point where, again, Crosby, Malkin, Carlson are still going to put butts in seats to a point. But if you're going to try to sell the fan base on this being a competitive team and they're absolutely garbage, people are going to tune out. And that's just the fact. That's just the fact of how it works. It's how it was in the post-Mario years. Even when Mario was still playing and there was no Crosby, the teams were bad and the building emptied out. You'd have more fans for – I remember going to a game with it's when the Avalanche were in their heyday. Sakic, Forsberg, the good Red Wings teams, Yzerman, Fedorov, Lidstrom. Fans would come to Pittsburgh because the tickets were cheap. You could get in easy. And you'd have a lot of fans from those teams because they were good. And you're going to start seeing that again if you don't right the ship or at least sell people on the product you're trying to sell. And it's unfortunate because when the Penguins are good, that building is full. And from what I heard, ticket prices are still very high. And people aren't going to pay top dollar for a team like this, even if it is Crosby, Malkin, just not going to do it. You'll have some games like your holiday games will still be packed. Your Flyers, your Rangers, your Capitals games will still fill the seats pretty well. But games like this, if the weather's even remotely not tolerable, you're just not going to get people. And it's a shame because there's times when the weather would be bad, but the Penguins are good. People would venture out in the snow, rain, whatever to see this team. So, yeah, if it doesn't improve, the crowd situation is just gonna deteriorate. All right, Tony again here. He said he was watching some classic NHL clips over the weekend. He noticed Chris Osgood and Dominik Hasek, the mask they were wearing caught his eye. Did that style of mask give them improved visibility? And is this a safety reason why we don't see them now?
Yeah, they're those older goalie masks.
Yeah.
I think one thing you got to understand, it had to do with visibility, but I think I've heard that there's no position in pro sports that has changed and evolved more over the years than the NHL goalie position. Everything from, standing up, the 2-pad stack to the butterfly, the equipment has gone through upgrades and downgrades, and it's funny, those old masks, they kind of remind me of like lacrosse face masks, which are designed in a way to have better vision. So I would assume it all has to do with vision. And
they're very small.
They are very small, and you got to think that they moved away from those because back in those clips you're talking about, Tony, too. I don't know which Osgood and Hasek clips you were watching in what era, because also equipment went through quite a few changes while they were in the league. You're talking about going from wood sticks to composite 2 pieces to absolute weapons in the 1-piece stick. Shots became a lot harder. And I think the goalie masks of today probably have the best vision that there's ever been as far as looking through a mask. So once that puck started moving a hell of a lot faster and a lot harder, goalies probably started tinkering with their equipment more. They actually kind of use it. Looks almost like a modern catcher's mask. Like the one fitting. Some catchers still use that hybrid, the backwards helmet with the face mask. That's kind of old school now. But it looks more like that actual really protective headpiece that catchers use now, and great vision. You can see out of the peripherals and everything. So I would just say that it's improved visibility, improved protection, because pucks started getting shot a lot harder and a lot faster, and the game just started moving quicker. So goalie equipment, if you go look at it, if you look at maybe from the 70s on, I mean, it's very DIY at some points. It's like goalies had to even know how to stitch and fix some of their own equipment on the fly. I've heard stories of them and on the plane with their equipment, fixing it up before the next game. And nowadays it's pretty standard. It's pretty, they've got it pretty dialed in. It's so much bigger than it used to be. So
is Osgood the last one to wear that kind of mask?
I
want to say yes. I don't know who else, because Hasek was gone before he was.
Gone before him.
I'd have to say yes. I can't, unless somebody wore it just like
a backup, maybe. Just that in their.
That's the. I mean, yeah, I'd have to say, bro. Durr never did.
Did Mike Richter? No, Mike Richter even had like the newer masks.
Yeah. Van Briesbroek wore that small mask, but he was gone before Osgood was.
Osgood's like pretty recent. I think he would probably have to be that last.
Well, he was he was there in 2009, and but he played after that then too. So I mean, I'd have to say that Osgood's the last one to wear that tiny little. I don't even know what it's basically a hockey helmet with a mask attached to it. Really, all it is.
Pretty much like a cage.
It's really like a cage you see junior players wear. Yeah. Is really all it is. Shaped a little bit differently, but it's a very If you look back at old tapes, I mean that was a standard mask. That was like the step up from the Jason Voorhees killer mask. I mean that was kind of the next one up, but that was really the standard mask for a while, and then it became the goalie mask, different variations of the goalie mask you see today. So, interesting question, because it's a good point. You never really think about how much a position changes. Like games, every sport's gotten faster, but like, okay, a center in basketball, maybe they've gotten a little bigger. Their job's still basically the same. A pitcher in baseball, they throw harder than they ever have, better velocity, better movement. The main job is still the same. You stand on the mound, throw 60 feet. Football, quarterback, game's faster, arms are stronger, plays more complex, but basically the same. The job is the same. Whereas in hockey, like, okay, every position is basically the same except goaltender. I mean, the object is always the same: stop the puck from going in the net. Yeah. But the method at which you do that has changed. It almost is how they ever stopped a puck without the butterfly stands.
I know
it's so awkward to watch those old tapes, because it's like they couldn't move, and they always put your worst player in the goal. Like the guy that couldn't skate very well was always in the goal. Now they're probably your most athletic player on the ice.
There's an argument they're the best skater on the ice, that with
just
their details in skating have to be so dialed in, and those quick movements, the laterals, the side to side, and all of that, and getting up and down and tracking the puck. I mean, back in the day, they were almost more like a lacrosse goalie, where they just stand there and hope that they can knock it away or hit it with their stick.
Hit them and deflect. They can maybe catch it or something like that. And now you got guys that are out there, they can get from side to side before you can even blink. That's not something you saw even into the 90s.
The whole net, like Vasilevsky. I mean,
and goalies are now. And goalies, they used to be your smallest player too. Now they're.
Darren Pang was a NHL goaltender. He's like 4 foot.
Dominic Hasek was not a huge person. Like those are not. Chris Osgood's a pretty small person. Now your goalies are. You want your goalie to be a monster. Vasilevsky, Ben Bishop was kind of like the first that ushered in that monster netminder. You still have some guys that are normal. Like Matt Murray was never a big goalie. Marc-Andre Fleury's not a huge person. But Lundqvist, you can argue if his pads were legal and stuff like that. But like Vasilevsky, like your monsters are now in net, and it's
that dude in Toronto, Anthony Stolarz.
Huge. Stolarz is
huge.
Like
6'7" or something like that, and he's been a backup for who's that? I think that guy Vladar. Vladar was in Calgary. I think he was in Boston.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of different places.
He's like a big guy too. Nowadays your backups are just titans. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and then like Casey DeSmith was like a midget compared to like most goalies of the day when he was playing. It's very I mean,
and you got like UC Saros, who's like short for even the average NHL player, and he's like one of the best goaltenders.
Yeah, he relies on. Yeah, he's perfected everything else. So, good question though.
Goalie
good observation.
Is the most interesting position, I think. If you were to get into the evolution of the position, what makes a good goaltender, all that. They could probably create like a psychology class based on goaltenders in the NHL, just on how weird of a position in a sport it is and what role they play.
Yeah, from a physical and mental aspect.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting stuff. Good question. All right, let's see here. Tony Gale asking some holiday questions. So he says he refuses to put up Christmas decorations before the 1st of December, but his wife disagrees. This can cause some turmoil in any household, especially if you live with other people. So, Robbie, where are you at? Where do you sit with Christmas decorations going up? When is it too early? When is it too late?
So, due to weather around here, we will sometimes put lights out before Thanksgiving, but not turn them on just because you don't want to be putting them out in like a snowstorm. So, my neighbors next door, have their lights on, and that's a little early for me. I am a Black Friday. Lights can go on. I'm off the rest of the week, so my idea is to put up my tree tomorrow, not turn it on until Friday, but get it up and get stuff out and ready. Because Friday I'll just go full blast. I'll just be putting stuff up and get it ready. But I am okay with putting it up. There's people that are like November 1st, trees up on. No, way too early.
It's still
I'm sorry.
Fall.
Yeah, it's still fall at that point. Now, the day after Thanksgiving, completely fine with that. Thanksgiving's over. You're into the full-on holiday season at that point. December 1st, if you want to use it as a date, that's fine. I'm also anti just taking them down like the day after Christmas. I know people that do that. I like to enjoy it while it's up. I like Christmas decorations. I like Christmas lights. So, anytime after, like if you want to put them up early and just not turn them on, that's cool, just to save time. But turning them on before Christmas or Thanksgiving is a little too early for me. Tony, I'll say December 1st is a little late in my opinion. I'm a day after Thanksgiving type person, so I'm kind of in your ballpark. I don't know when exactly your wife wants them up, but again, you don't have a Thanksgiving holiday as like a deadline. So, Tony, let us know when your wife's idea of a good time to start putting Christmas decorations up, and we'll debate whether or not she is wrong or who is more right, whether it's you or her. So, no, I'm a day after Christmas or Thanksgiving person, and turning lights on, getting trees up, and music playing. Yeah, all right, and last but not least, Tony again, and we asked this question, I believe, last week in the mailbag, and Tony, our friend in the UK, responds with, they don't really have any other major holidays other than Easter and Christmas. They have a few bank holidays, weekends throughout the year, but no gatherings like Thanksgiving, which he then wishes us a happy Thanksgiving for Thursday. So, Tony, we thank you for that. But no major holidays besides Easter and Christmas, and that kind of sounds depressing. No don't you celebrate 4th of July?
Oh, that's so funny. That's maybe they just have a bigger Christmas over there than we do.
Good.
Actually, I don't know if that's true, because I actually saw a comparison video Halloween in the US compared to the UK. I think in the UK, I could be very off on this, but they might be less consumerist than we are, where we Americans like to go all out with every holiday.
Probably.
And I saw like a house decorated for Christmas or for Halloween over there compared to here. They might put out like a single pumpkin, not even carve it.
Oh my, that's like
we go all out.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that is interesting. You gotta wonder in history. I guess they've just never. I don't know. UK is just different. I have no idea. I don't know too much about UK history. Robbie, do you at all? I mean,
not to like I know they have like Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas. You have Remembrance Day, which is Veterans Day. I know they have like the bank holidays throughout the year, kind of like we do. We have Martin Luther King Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. They have different holidays like that as well. They respect the true Thanksgiving though, and not made they didn't make a fake Thanksgiving like our neighbors to the north. So I will respect the English for that. I love the holidays. I love getting together with family. I love eating the food.
Oh yeah,
I do, Tony. And if you want to respond to this for next week's episode or whatever, to what level do the English celebrate Halloween? Like, okay, the one pumpkin decoration. Do you guys do like all out trick or treat? Do you do costumes? What is like your variation of Halloween? Because Americans go hard for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe like on an individual level, probably harder than any holiday from an individual perspective than even Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm assuming in England they celebrate the New Year with parties and stuff as well. But how do you celebrate? Actually, Tony, I'll double that out. How do you guys celebrate Halloween, and how do you celebrate New Year's as well compared to your American brethren over here? Because I'm really interested in that as well. But thank you for the well wishes. Thank you for the well wishes on our Thanksgiving. I think we talked last week what we do, and it's here now. I mean, Snail's getting his vegan dinner ordered. He lost his battle on just cooking everything. But as you said, it's your dad that is not vegan and just eats normal. Like he'll just eat like a full chicken.
No, he eats the panini.
Oh, that's right. He does a Thanksgiving panini. That is right.
He does a Thanksgiving panini.
Which is, I mean, paninis are great. Like
they are.
There's no hate on paninis at all, and it's just very funny that your dad has just made that his thing while the rest of you just take on the vegan Thanksgiving dinner.
And he'll eat like the sides we make that are vegan friendly, but you'd never know the difference. I really know the difference. But his main course is definitely
the turkey.
Different. Yeah. There was actually some rumblings out of him the other day that he might be looking at veering from turkey altogether. If no one's getting a turkey, he might get a ham, or he might get just a big ribeye steak.
Listen, if he's on his own, he has the freedom to make his own decision on that.
He does, yeah.
And again, a Thanksgiving ham. I'm a ham person. I love ham, so I can't fault him for that because that can go well in a panini too.
Oh, yeah.
But it'd be really funny if like you guys are eating and all of a sudden you hear the skillet, just a slab of meat slapped down on the skillet and starts sizzling.
A butter steak going or something.
Yes. And then all you hear is, does your dad drink beer?
No, he doesn't actually.
Oh, okay. Then it's a Coke or whatever.
Yeah, LaCroix.
A LaCroix, opening up, and you just see him over there sipping his LaCroix and growing up his ribeye would be a very, very funny visual. So
my dad actually in the wintertime, he uses the barbecue out back quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's just popping in and out, getting the barbecue going, listening to his. It's funny how dads have evolved. He used to be like listening to music out loud a lot, and now he's got my mom evolved him a bit, and he has the AirPods.
What's he listen to?
A lot of just like 80s, anything from the 80s rock, 80s just like pop music.
Yeah.
So he'll probably be just like crushing a LaCroix or whatever out on the barbecue, grilling up whatever meat he so desires. It's, I feel like for him, once you've strown from tradition of turkey to like a vegan turkey, all bets are off. And at that point, we're just eating to eat to have a good time and be merry.
Do you have tofurkey? Is that what you eat?
Well, yeah, there's like tofurkey, or there's this other thing called like field roast celebration roast, which is essentially just like I don't even really know. I think it's tofu soy based or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty good. There was one year we got one that was actually just a giant, like it said like it was like a celebration roast, and when we cooked it up, it was a giant chicken nugget, like a vegan chicken nugget is pretty much all it really was. So, like breaded and everything, and
like, do you guys do like normal mashed potatoes? Because like those are outside of like you'd have to avoid milk and butter and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, dude, the mashed potatoes. I just use the. This is also a controversial thing. There's little details in Thanksgiving that can differ greatly from family to family. But I get the little golden potatoes, like 2 bags of them.
Oh yeah.
And then you boil them up, and then we leave the skins on, so you get the skins in the mashed potatoes.
Okay.
I'll throw in vegan butter and vegan sour cream to really get that fluff going.
Yeah.
And then I add the only thing that I do a little differently too with the mashed potatoes is I chop up a bunch of garlic and put it in them, so they're like a little bit of a garlicky mashed potato.
Yeah.
Gravy's pretty similar too. There's just no fat from an animal in
it.
We do typically 2 types. We do like a mushroom gravy and then just like a basic chicken broth base.
Yeah.
In quotations gravy.
Yeah.
Are you a cranberry sauce family?
We don't use the kind out of a jar. We do. It's either my aunt or my grandma makes a fresh cranberry sauce mixed with some like apples and stuff. So nice. It's more of like almost like a cranberry salad more than a sauce. We don't use the stuff out of a can. But yeah, we definitely have a cranberry dish.
Yeah, cranberry is one of those things where when I was a kid, I used to love it, and then I grew up and I stopped eating it altogether. And I feel like when I stopped eating it, our family stopped eating it. And this year, I don't know what it is with cranberry sauce, but I've been actually seeing TV ads for cranberry sauce out.
Maybe they're hurting.
Maybe they're hurting. Maybe they're trying to reestablish we're a part of the holiday game. It's got me thinking about cranberry sauce again. So
Yeah, we have like a homemade cranberry dish kind of thing, not a sauce out of a can or anything like that. But no, it's a good holiday. We'll have to recap our Thanksgivings when we get back on after the holiday. And
does your family ever do you guys drink at all? Does one of your families that kind of has alcohol at a lot of your celebrations?
Maybe some wine.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, our family isn't really either. I feel like it's more like my sister and I that started the drinking tradition, like around the holidays, and usually get you get some beers and some brown liquor probably, and don't go too wild or anything like that. But definitely while you're cooking, you got to have like a cold beer going.
Okay.
And usually watching football. There's always football on.
Oh yeah.
And maybe after dinner you have like a little brown liquor, and it really puts you right to sleep.
I mean, yeah, I fall asleep pretty much after Thanksgiving anyway, simply because, just so much food. But, looking forward to it for sure.
Looking forward to it. Yep.
All right. Penguins this week play Wednesday, the annual Thanksgiving Eve game at home against the Canucks, off on Thanksgiving, and then they play Friday and Saturday. Friday in Boston, Saturday back home against Calgary. Gonna be an adventure for certain. They're off again next Monday, so hopefully maybe another mailbag that week. I will not be around to do a recap on Wednesday, but we can maybe do a double dip with the game on Friday and then another one on Saturday to make up. So maybe Friday we'll talk some Thanksgiving meals. And talk some Penguins hockey. Hopefully, prayers up that we at least get something positive to talk about out of these next few games, because, like we said, it is starting to get frustrating.
It's been frustrating, Robbie. It's starting to look just outright bad.
And before I forget, Elliot Friedman today came out and said that the Rangers are possibly shopping Jacob Trouba and Chris Kreider. Something to keep an eye on.
Chris Kreider is insane to me. I feel like they've tried shopping him before. I don't get that one. He's such a good goal scorer for them. I'd take Trouba. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, Trouba, they tried to do something in the offseason, and he kind of just... So, I don't even know if that's
with
possible.
His wife, right? He has like a wife who's like in school, and he's like, I want to stay in New York till she's done. Like, isn't there some deal like that?
His wife's a doctor.
Or a doctor, yeah.
Yeah, she's in New York. I don't know if she's like in a rotation or something like that, but he pretty much said that I'm not leaving New York. It kind of really threw their entire offseason out the window and really screwed them up. And again, he's the captain of that team. So Kreider just seems like it's an insane thing. It seems like it's more of a message sending than anything else. Kreider's 33, though. I didn't realize he was that old. But yeah, I don't know what the market for him could possibly be. It just feels like if that's the situation they're in, they're not in a bad position or anything like that, but they did get embarrassed the other day by the Oilers. So who knows? But they're 12-6-1. And honestly, as a Penguins fan, I'd be dying to be 12-6-1 right now. Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's just a trying to send a message to their players, but yeah, that's just what Elliot Friedman reported today. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone on New York that I would that's realistically available that I'd be looking for, but I would take Trouba. Like, I don't know how you get that done, but man, does his hits and his willingness to fight and I would be willing to take that for the Penguins. Just name your price essentially, as long as it's not Gino or Sid's safe. Give him Raquel, and I don't know. I wouldn't mind taking a look at Trouba. Kreider, lot of miles on Kreider, and he's not so far removed from. Did he have a 50-goal season a couple years ago?
Yeah, I believe, but like
they were insane. Net front guy.
Absolutely.
I would take that. I would take just if I were Dubas. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he is, but I'd just be picking up the phone every day. I'd be like, what's the price? What are we looking at? You interested in anything we got? That's what I'd be doing. I don't care if it's a divisional rival or whatever. But hey, you never know. Maybe by the next time we do a podcast, there'll be some even bigger news than a Tomasino signing.
Maybe. Trade. Never know. So that Snail, if you don't have anything else, I'm pretty good.
Nothing.
All right. For our American listeners, have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. Eat well. Penguins are back on Wednesday. We will be back on Friday after that Boston game to talk some more puck. So for Snail, I'm Robbie. We will talk to you guys later this week.